Welcome to this special edition of the Coaches Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. And this is not a mistake. We're in the middle of the summer, but we're going to be talking girls and boys basketball, and we're doing that because at Summit High School, we have two new hires. We have Thad Burgess, the new boys coach at Summit, taking over for Jim Fay. We have Hal Murrell, taking over for John Wild on the girls' side. Gentlemen, welcome to WCS and welcome to the Coaches Show.
Thanks. Great to be here, finally.
Appreciate it, yes.
Yes, sir.
Coach Murrell comes to us after spending the last two seasons at Forest High School, coaching the girls' team. Prior stops include being the boys coach at Dickson County, Columbia Central. We had a Cornelsville stop. We had a Culleoka stop. Yes. So I had a lot of history in Middle Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Coach taking over again for John Wild as the girls coach. You aren't totally new to the area. When you were at Dickson, we were obviously in the same league.
Right.
And you've lived pretty close for a while. Tell our audience about that.
You know, I've been in Thompson Station for 21, 22 years. I've seen a lot of growth. I mean, I was there when Summit was built. I was living there when Independence was built. I was actually at the time coaching at Culleoka, then went to Columbia Central, then went to Dickson, and the area has grown tremendously. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but just the growth in the area. Now we got June Lake coming in right beside Summit High School. It's just going to be an influx of even more houses and, you know, hopefully going to bring some athletes in, you know, not just for us, but probably for Independence as well. And it's been nice to be a part of the growth and to get into it early on.
Now, Coach, listen, I know you don't want Independence
well,
to have any players.
I didn't know how the zone lines were going to shift there. I'm going to try to steer it back towards the other way, but we'll see how that goes.
Coach, you talked about living here. Mm-hmm. We've talked at different times about, hey, there may be a point in time that you try to get into WCS.
Right.
Why was this the time?
You know, when we were talking off air, when I was at Forest High School, I really enjoyed my time there. Miss Lamb reached out, and I had always looked at Summit High School as one of those little diamond in the rough schools for Williamson County, if you will. It's right on the edge, southern part of the county. It got really good kids there, really good community. Miss Lamb's doing a great job. One of my bosses now, and Danny Bourne, is one of my former students.
Oh, wow.
At Cornersville, you know, and I've known John Wild forever, and I knew he did a great job, and I knew the coaches that were there before him as well. And have just followed Summit through the years and watched its growth and development. I have an older daughter who's now a junior there. She'll be my manager. I have a younger daughter who goes to Thompson Station Middle. She will also go to school there, hopefully playing softball and volleyball when she gets there. And it's just been a place that I've always had my eye on for the past few years.
Well, and I thought this was unique, that your kids were already zoned
Correct.
For the school you're at now.
Yeah, we're 3 miles away from the school, you know, and this is the first time I've ever been on the same calendar with my kids. And it's been nice to have open gym and to just run over there, and I'm there in 5 minutes. 'Cause I'm used to traveling 30 minutes to an hour to get to school, and that's been a game changer to swing by in the afternoons, to go over and open the gym up, to lock it and be back home in 5 minutes, to have my kids go to school there. It's been really nice.
Coach, so at Forest High School, you moved from Dickson coaching the boys team.
Correct.
You go to Forest to coach the girls. You had some past experience coaching girls, but it was always, there was a boys job lined up with it.
Correct.
Talk about that move from boys to girls, because you've spent the majority coaching boys.
Yeah, this will be year 31. And 30 of those had a boys team in it every year. 7 of those had some girls sprinkled in there as well, but every year was a boys team except these last 2. You know, it was a pretty smooth transition. Obviously, the game's a lot slower than it is from the boys to the girls side. I like the way the girls buy in to the relationship side, how once they realize that you care about them and that you understand that there's more to life outside than just those basketball lines, they'll do everything that they can to try to do their best. They're really fundamentally sound. Again, it's just a little bit of a slower pace, but I like the fundamental aspect that the girls bring. They don't try to do things they're not capable of doing. And, you know, it's just been good, man, just to deal with them. Now that I have 2 daughters of my own, you know, I think I've kind of coming around to understanding how to deal with girls. It took me a while to understand that. But I've really enjoyed it, man. The last few years coaching girls has been awesome, and this summer was so much fun. I really had a good time.
No, wait, Coach. So you're telling me that the new and improved Coach Murrell has softened a little
Oh,
bit.
there is no question. You would not believe the times that I've coached here the last few years, and some of my former players have been there, and they're like, "Man, you sure have calmed down a lot from the way you used to be." And I still get fiery and intense, but yeah, it's a different version. Different version.
I understand. Coach Burgess, you come to us from Oconee County,
sir.
Georgia. You spent the last 7 seasons coaching the boys team there, the girls team for 2 of those seasons.
Correct.
Before that, you were in Dawson County, Georgia. Also coached in Alabama. Name the sport, and you've probably coached it.
Well, I've been coordinators in football and been head baseball and coached girls and boys, basketball both. So I think that's been a key. And I got daughters that cheered and played. And so I guess the whole gamut of the whole picture has been kind of neat. There hadn't been too many Friday nights I have not been at some kind of high school sporting event. And it's just been neat. I think that's probably a big advantage when you're especially coming in a new program, you're a new person, the relationships, and you understand summer baseball, you understand the 7-on-7s in football, you understand that, and it makes it so much easier. And I think the kids also, they like that too, to know that you've been involved in some other areas than just basketball.
Well, and I think that's important when you start talking about multi-sport athletes. Obviously, with you guys both coaching girls and boys at different times, that helps that relationship for sure.
Yeah.
But then when you start talking about you've coached some other sports as well, certainly that's going to be a help too. Now, Coach Burgess, you and I, we actually, for the first time, met face-to-face this
crazy.
morning, but we have known each other
Forever.
for about 4 or 5 years,
You're right.
talking on the phone. Talk about your whirlwind of coming here. Coach Murrell comes here, and now he's 3 or 4 minutes away from school.
Right.
You come here and you've got to sell houses and find a place to live. And talk about that whirlwind of coming to WCS.
Well, Coach, there's nobody that knows it any more than you do. I guess 4 or 5 years ago, I guess during the COVID time, I'd visited here. I'd come watch practices during the fall. I'd go watch Lipscomb and Vanderbilt, and we would just come up here and get away and watch some practices. Came to the SEC tournament. And then it just got to kind of grow on me a little bit. And then all of a sudden, I said, wow, that would be a neat place to go. And so I think about the time you took over the AD job, is I think out of the blue, I sent you something. So over the last several years, this is where my eyes been here.
Yeah.
And it was just, we'd find the right time and the right situation. And wow, what a wild wheel the last, couple of months. But it's one of the neatest places. I mean, when I talked to you, it was just something I knew about it was special here. And I've been at some great places. I left an unbelievable place, and I've just been very fortunate. But, we pulled up the roots, and I'd be lying to you if I said it's been easy. But we're getting close to getting there, and I know my girls have visited. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and they understand now what I was telling them about it. My wife, what a great place. I mean, just if you basketball or anything, living in the whole situation. So it's going to be an exciting time. It's been tough getting adjustment period and learning the kids, but I'm very grateful for the folks, and then of course Miss Lamb, that really ended up being a great situation when we met and talked, and the Coach Kirby and Mr. Bourne and the crew. And so everybody I've been around, it's like, wow, it's just a wow factor. So I'm excited. I'm very grateful to you and all the other ones that gave me a chance to be in, I think, not by far the best school system in Tennessee. And there's no doubt in my mind that I made the right decision.
Well, we're glad you're both here.
Yes.
Coach, talk about this. I was talking to the folks at Summit the other day. We were working on updating logos and doing some things, and they reminded me that orange and blue is Auburn.
That's it.
Orange and blue. Why is that important to you?
Well, I guess I spent a few years at Auburn. The colors was kind of crazy. Every time I talked to my buddies, you gone to heaven, hadn't you? I grew up there and I played there and I got to coach there. But now you got to also realize I moved into Athens. I could see the football stadium from when I left in Athens. So, and I have 4 daughters that graduated. One was a cheerleader at Georgia, married a football player at Georgia. But I even think my girls' heart's kind of still at Auburn. I'm excited to get the whole new gamut up here and go. But I was able, the first time I actually put an Auburn car tag on my car where I'm living now, so in the orange and blue, and so it's the exact same Auburn colors, so it was kind of neat. So it's pretty exciting too. I got to admit that.
Let's talk a little bit about the off season for both of you because it's looked a little bit different.
Right.
Obviously, with you living close,
Yeah.
You were announced as the coach, Coach Murrell, a little bit earlier. I know it's unique in that you got a boys and girls coach being hired at the same time. I was thinking about this earlier. You both come in, and if you can't figure out how to get in the door, and you are the only two there, what do you do?
I called him at the beach the other day. I can't get the door unlocked.
Yep. Well, I was fortunate to have two assistants that stayed on staff.
Right.
Coach Hampton, Coach Edwards. Thank goodness.
Great assistants.
Oh, they were wonderful. Yeah. They're wonderful. They're helping me kind of dodge the landmines of, let's do this, let's not do this. This is how we do this. Kind of the protocol, the way things are done. They already had a relationship with the girls. The girls love them to death. And I've turned them loose in some drills, and they have just been just a lifesaver for me. There's a lot of challenges when you take over a new program, just a lot of unknowns, not knowing the kids, not knowing the personnel, whatever the case may be, and they were there and have been there. They've opened up the gym for some open gyms, and I'm just very fortunate to have them there. And it's just been a blessing to have them in that summer transition. We got here, Coach Wild had already kind of set up most of the summer calendar, so I kind of fell into that. And fortunately, being close, we were traveling to some camps that I had been familiar with over the past few years. So that was a good transition. The biggest challenge, I think, for me was just trying to kind of change things that John had done. Not that they were wrong, but we're trying to play a little more man than he was playing zone, and we're trying to run a little more motion, and he was kind of running set. So, that was just the biggest challenge of trying to get them, out of the old and into the new. And, good thing it's the summer because at that point it didn't count. So, but yeah, it's been great. The summer's going really good. And I know Thad and I have talked a lot about trying to get the schedule straightened out for next year and this camp and that camp and this practice because we were trying to coordinate all that. But it's gone pretty smooth, to be honest with you.
Coach Burgess, what Coach Murrell just described is the absolute opposite of what it was like for you. Talk about your onboarding, so to speak, and what your summers look like.
Well, I think you and I talked right off the beginning on the phone, and it really was the opposite of my mentality. I like to jump right in and get it going. So, but I had to kind of just take a step back, and what I've tried to do, and I thought what was really important at Summit when I got here was to build as many relationships as I possibly could, starting off with the kids. And so what we did, I didn't worry about playing games this summer. We didn't worry about how long we were going to practice. I tried to make myself understand some kids, like first day, there was one gone to Indiana for a week, and some were doing this and that. So there were a lot of things that we had to learn about each other. So what I've tried to do is just build a relationship those last for a couple of weeks. We only did one scrimmage at the end. One of the reasons because I was on the phone at least trying to find some other ones, but there was a point I said, is that really going to matter? We've got to get this confidence with each other and build our relationship. And so not only with the players, their parents, the teachers in the schools, the other coaches, everybody involved, I thought that's where I needed to be at that point. And so that's what I focused on. And moving forward, I'm hope that we at least started that relationship. I know very excited last couple of nights. I got to meet a lot of our middle school kids and their parents. And wow, there was so much excitement there. It was just like, wow, they're ready for something really special to happen at the school. And I'm just a very small part of it. But I wanted them to be able to meet me, and I wanted them to be able to share, just how I am as a person. And then we'll try to build on that. We've got some challenges. We know the schedule is already set, Coach and I. I'm learning schools and names of people, but just jumping in and just trying to be a part and make it right and see where this all goes. And we've done it a while, and you have to sometimes patience, and sometimes we don't have that. We want to win. Yeah. I think that's important. I think everything we talk about until you win, a lot of people, it's not going to be the selling point. But it's just been fun and exciting. We got good kids that want it to happen, but again, they're having to. They're a lot smarter than I am than what we are, and so I'm not going to fool them. They've got to see me and feel me and know where we're going and what we expect.
Coach Murrell, talk a little bit about the other coaches in the league. You have relationships with them already.
I do.
And you'll find here, and I think it's probably changed over the years anywhere you've coached, but I think something that's pretty unique here is that relationship amongst coaches too.
Oh, absolutely. There's you and I and Coach here, we've done this long enough that there was a time we would run and meet at a Texaco station on the side interstate and swap VHS tapes and swap DVDs, this, that, and the other. But now with technology, I mean, you're able to, video a game at loads on Huddle, just shoot it. But the thing with coaches, it's good to see them on film, but at the same time, I also like to give these coaches a call and say, hey, what do you think about here? Because it just getting their mindset, and we got coaches in this league who's been doing this a long time, and they're really good coaches. And the camaraderie, I feel like, with the coaches is really good. When I was at Dixon, kind of an outsider, I guess we were the only school on the outside of the county that was inside this district. But I was, as a boys coach, was able to reach out to these guys over here, and they kind of welcomed me in and said, hey, this is what we got going on. This kid's a good player. And there's some really good teams in this district. From top to bottom, you got to be in that top 4 somehow to get to that region. And I think it could be wide open. We got some work to do, and as Coach was saying, but I feel like that's something that's doable. And I know if I was to reach out to a coach that they would say, hey, Coach Murrell, what can we do for you?
Well, the level, and I've talked to a lot of coaches about this, for boys and girls both, the level of team, the level of coaching, if you go back 20 years, it's really improved here as a whole.
Absolutely.
And I think particularly on the girls' side.
Absolutely.
It used to be the Brentwood show, and that was it.
Well, years ago, and I'm aging myself, like years ago it was Franklin and it was Brentwood. And that was basically it. And then
in terms of schools.
Yes. And then you had kind of Ravenwood came in and Centennial came in. And next thing you know, which Page was always out there. They seemed to be on their own little entity out there. And then it just took off. You had Summit built. You had Independence built. And it has really ballooned. The number of kids, the number of players have increased. The sports, Wilco has done a great job across the board in any sport as far as state titles go, the competitiveness. They have built a name brand for themselves here. And not only with the players, with the coaches as well.
Coach Burgess, had an opportunity. I know you've actually done a lot of talking with Coach Wild too. You met Coach Wild kind of early on
Coach Wild
when he was still there. But any other relationships across schools yet, or mainly is it just Summit High?
Well, I'm going to piggyback with him. He already's made those connections. Of course, I left a lot of connections. So one of the big challenges on my end, and the thing I think is going to make the comfort zone even better, knowing what I know about the coaches in Williamson County and the schools, it's like, again, it's another wow factor. I cannot wait to meet them. I know what they've done. I know the challenges. I know the competitiveness of them. I know the success of the programs. And so I know next Tuesday we've got kind of a get together. A lot of the coaches are going to be getting together. That's going to be neat. But that's one big thing I'm really excited about doing is getting a chance, and I know they're going to be competitive because I've watched enough. I've watched some film and done some things, but that's going to be a part that from a coaching standpoint, especially when you've been in it a while, you make those relationships and they stay forever.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be,
They do.
It's something that in our profession is just really special that we're able to keep. So I cannot wait to meet not just the ones, even the coaches around. And I've made some contacts trying to get some games and just general chit chat. But that's one area that I'm really excited about. Yep.
Coach Murrell, talk a little bit about your squad. And you talked about this. Obviously, the summer, nobody wins a league or state title in the summer.
Winning or losing it, correct.
But it's a good place to start to know you got a young lady like Quinn Johnston coming back. She's one of the all-time three-point shooters in the state of Tennessee. Still got another year.
Correct.
A Wilco Awards finalist in girls basketball.
Correct.
That's a good place to start building the team around a young lady like Quinn.
We don't want to talk about her too much now because nobody knows anything about her. No, that's the bad thing about that is with the quality of coaches we have, Quinn's not going to be surprising anybody when she walks on the floor. So the biggest thing with Quinn is, I know what Quinn's going to bring to the floor. We talked a lot this summer with her about, I need you to rebound better. I need you to set really solid screens to be the best screener we have because they're not going to offer any help off you. I need you to get your teammates open. I don't want you to feel like you have to carry this squad. I know you're capable of doing it, but we're going to have to get some help to take some pressure off her. And we've got some girls who can do that. it is nice knowing that we can run certain plays, and I've got a girl who I feel like can knock a shot down. Because I think we've all coached long enough, and we've been like, who are we going to go to score? You know, everybody's had that year. And it's very fortunate to have that player who can get that 3 ball if you need it, draw extra defenders, the focus of 10 eyes on the floor or on her. And it's been great. And I've been keeping up with her over the summer. And I sent her a thing the other day because I noticed that she had posted she had gotten 12 rebounds in a game on AAU. And I was like, girl, that's exactly what we need out of you. You know, it's great for her. I know she's already committed at the next level, which I think will help her. She can relax, not have that pressure of going into her senior year. She's also a volleyball player. But I know she's going to spend time in the gym. She'll get many a shots up. And, you know, Jaden Pittman is another senior that we got on the team who's an awesome softball player. So we got a lot of multi-sport girls. And, you know, that's awesome. I want them to play as much as they can. You can't get these days back. And when they're over, they're over. You can't go back and do this again. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad I have her on my bench, and I'm not trying to figure out how to stop her.
Coach Burgess, again, a little different situation.
Yeah, right.
And I know you're good with relationships and knowing names, but you were probably calling somebody number 3, and
I was.
number 5, and number 10.
And I got like 3 Ks. I got a K and a K, and I'm going, oh, my Lord.
Did you say K?
Yeah, I'm just going.
It's a Wilco name right there.
Okay. So it was like, wow. So, yeah, what we tried to do, and again, we've got some seniors, and sometimes you have real vocal leaders, the quiet leaders. Well, our kids are very quiet. and I'd already kind of been warned about that. So I've had to try to do some little things, let them pick their own teams, let them get involved a little bit, let them make contact when we're going to do, just to maybe put them in a leadership role. One of the big things I've tried to do this summer too with them, other than, you know, building the relationship, is let them have some fun. Let them get whatever's been on their mind. Whatever's happened in the past is happened. This is all new, new faces, a new situation, new environment. Have fun. We got to be positive. We got to have something positive to happen with our basketball program. So we're taking baby steps, but I do feel that. I feel it coming with some of our seniors. We've got some young kids too that are seeing it happen. But I think it's just a time process. Like I said, we were probably in the gym like 8 days, and there was not ever a day that we had the same 10 or 12 in the gym. So there were so many different combinations. That's one thing I do in practice too. We mix them up every day because in a game you don't play to have the same 5 in there at the same time. So I think just getting them to feel good about themselves, feeling comfortable and enjoying what they're doing and getting some feedback. First thing I did the first day I was there, I spent about 45 minutes or an hour with every kid that was in the program, and we just talked. We opened up, we shared. I shared my life and what my beliefs were. They shared theirs, and we started that point. And then, of course, we'll build as we go. But the seniors are very important because that's where they're going to be ones that get us started. Right. And that's important.
Well, Coach Burgess, talk about this too. Obviously, if you're talking about Summit Athletics, any program that's maybe hadn't won the last couple of years, it's not totally broken. You go back a few years and the boys team was in the sub-state.
Yes,
but let's face it, the last couple of years have been tough in terms of wins and losses. That doesn't scare you. If you go back and look at some of your history, you've taken over some programs that I think you took over one that didn't win a game the year before.
Yeah, the last 2, I think they'd won like 1 or 2 games.
I've been there too.
So, yeah, it's very, very similar. My buddies, besides it being the orange and blue, they said, wow, have you not done that? Is that not you? And so I felt very comfortable coming in. I think knowing that it's not there right now, but when it does happen, that's when things are really special. Yes. They know they've been a part. And what I've tried to share, even the middle school kids that I've met with and seen the last couple of nights, I'm saying, y'all are going to be a part of this. You're going to have a say-so in where we go. And when we get there, there's that special bond that they'll always have and they'll take with them. And so we're going to get there. We're going to do it together. But there's going to be some roadblocks along the way and challenges. But I think that the first steps have started. the relationships that we talk about and the little positivity that they needed. We actually, I kind of go back, the only scrimmage we had was like on a Wednesday, and we still had a couple more days. We ended up playing okay. They had a pretty good feeling about themselves. We stopped. I wanted them to leave that gym the rest of the summer feeling good about what was going on.
Right.
And so and we've done some things since then, and we stay in contact with each other. But I think I understand where we need to head this thing, and I think our kids want to do that. Now, that's a key. And then we got to have some success, coaches. We know we need to win.
Both 0-0 right now. So let's feel a little. Coach, now talk about your team. Will probably be one of the favorites in terms of being in that top 4.
Correct.
Some good things have happened the last few years, but there's still some steps you guys would like to take too.
Correct. I alluded to some things a minute ago. We're going to have to find a way to take some of the pressure off Quinn, because she'll be the focus of the coaches on the opposing team. She'll be the focus of the players on the floor, the players on the bench. And we're going to have to find somebody to step into that role and say, hey, I'm going to take some pressure off you. And there's some good young girls coming into the program and that are already there who I know can do that. And we talk about it, if I could just get 8 points out of you, eight, we're talking 2 points a quarter here. And you start doing the math, you've scored more than enough points to win ball games. If we can just get a little bit of production out of some other players. The summer was good, some ups and some downs, but like you're saying, you're not winning a district or losing a district this summer.
That's right.
We were trying to run some motion offense, and with the loss of the point guard that they had last year and some other key seniors, there was a transition time there. So we were trying to run some motion, trying to play some man defense, and that was a little bit different than what John had done the last couple of years. Not right or wrong, but that was also kind of what Coach was saying. It was just it was a filling out period of this is how we're going to do things now. These are the expectations. These are my requirements as a player. And being vocal was a big thing for me too.
Right.
Was to have some fun. Let's clap when we come together. Seniors, this is y'all's team. If something's wrong, I'm coming to y'all first.
Well, it's interesting, Coach, because you've said this a few times. When you talk about culture, you take a Coach Wild or Coach Fay or whomever and take you guys. It doesn't mean that one style is better than the other, but it's different.
It is different.
And so you're talking about that come to the bench. Oh, now we do this when we come over to the bench.
Yeah.
It's just a learning process.
It is a learning process. It's a learning process for us.
Right.
As far as the expectations of ourselves as coaches, as teachers, as just attendance, whatever it is. It's a big learning change for everybody, and it takes time. And fortunately, and we're in a great situation, and hopefully it'll be a smooth and quick one. But we've all coached long enough to know that there's going to be it's a roller coaster ride. There's going to be some really big highs, and there's going to be some terrifying drops at times too. So
hey, that's just part of high school.
it is.
Sports.
It is
Part
You're
of
right.
sports in general. Coach Burgess, and I know Coach Murrell's seen this a little bit closer than you have. Now it's going to be really up close and personal. Talk about what you've witnessed maybe from afar when you're talking about the crowds that we have here, the engagement of the parents. You've probably already noticed that.
Right.
Everybody's kind of all in terms of whatever's going on with the program. Very similar to where you just left.
Right. Well, what's neat about the situation, you don't see this hardly, especially the way, classifications and private and public and the whole works, but we're fixing to go into 8-region team with all the county schools, which are the most unbelievable high schools in the state of, not just Tennessee, but in the Southeast and the United States.
Exciting.
We're fixing Tuesdays and Fridays, go in environments that coaches don't get to do. You don't get to experience that.
Right.
Not just the facility, but the people there, the coaches, the kids, the environment. This today that we're doing, I've noticed the banquet that you have at the end of the year. It just doesn't happen everywhere.
No,
and Williamson County has made this something that is special, and that's the word I would use. And to be a part of it, I'm the most scared I've been. And I'm being honest, you would think this old man sitting at this table. I'm staying up at night wondering what that first day of school is going to look like. It's the same as I did my first year that I taught. Now, I know that really seems like, oh, y'all, you got this figured out. But I think when you really care and you have that fit, that's the emotions you want to feel. You know, that's what I want to know what's going to be in that door where am I going to pull in the parking lot when I go next Tuesday to this meeting that we're having.
Right.
Who am I going to see? Which door am I going to go? So it's going to be, it's exciting, it's scary, but I think that's what we do.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps us going. And I don't have any hobbies. I don't do anything. And this is kind of my life. And so I can't wait. It's already started. What a neat place to be in those Tuesdays and Fridays. You know, I know we got some quality teams, and it's going to be difficult on our end, but it's going to be neat to try to challenge and try to get in that group that's going to be there down the road and keep it there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here. You have passed your first test when it comes to the Coaches Show.
All right.
Good luck to you, and I look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thank you,
Thank
Coach.
y'all.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
everybody in the system and everybody. Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.